Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. This episode of Entre Architect Podcast is supported by our generous sponsors, BetterHelp and Arcat.com. My name is Mark R. LePage, and you are listening to Entre Architect Podcast, where each week I speak with inspiring, passionate people who share their knowledge and expertise, all to help you build a better business as a small firm entrepreneur architect. Matias Daroch embarked on his architectural journey in Chile, forging a path that led him to Miami, where he is now a successful architect, entrepreneur, and real estate developer. His journey from architecture school to establishing MIK Architecture illustrates a deep-seated passion for architecture blended with entrepreneurial spirit. Matias and his team specialize in designing modern, market-driven residential architecture in South Florida, collaborating closely with developers and investors. Together, they craft environments that are not only beautiful, but also highly sought after in the market. So join us today at this episode of Entre Architect Podcast as Matias shares insights from his journey and the innovative projects shaping his success. Matias Daroch, welcome to Entre Architect Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. This is going to be a popular episode, I predict, because this is a topic that many of our listeners are interested in. I think architects deep down in all of us, including myself, this is something that's in my future as well, but it's been in my future for a very long time, is to do development as an architect. And so we're going to talk about that. But before we do that, before we dive into what you do and how you do it, I want to know more about you. What's your origin story? When did you discover your passion for what you do? And maybe even who or what inspired you to get started as an architect?
So that's one of the hardest questions I get, because since I have, knowledge of that you have to pick a job eventually, I always went to the design side and the architecture side. I don't recall wanting to be anything else than an architect.
So forever?
Forever, yeah.
Do you know what exposed you to architecture, that you even knew as a child what an architect was? Do you remember that?
Yes and no, because I was very young and amazing with building blocks and Legos and drawing sections of homes and like playing with rooms to grow, and always on a design focus too. I also did like logos and stuff when I was like 12 years old. But like, when you just know like 5 or 6 top jobs, and for me, architecture was like the design side of that top job. So it was like just that. I had not really understood at that moment what architects did until I was like, late in entering high school, basically.
Right. What did your parents do? What's their background?
My dad is a CEO of a fishing company, and my mom has always been in the design side of stuff, but she's endeavored in a bunch of things. She's more of a stay-at-home mom.
But she's creative.
She is creative, yes.
Yeah. There's always a reason.
Yes, you're right. You're right. I just noticed that. Yeah. I got the creative side from her, definitely. And the organizational side from her too. And I would say the leadership side is definitely for my dad.
Yeah. And the entrepreneur.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And the entrepreneur side, and again, another thing, both my parents helped me go through the path of exploring things to do. And I've always been the person that organizes events. Like I remember little kids with my neighbors, we organized like bicycle races. I was always there on the top of organizing them. And eventually one of those events was to collect money for a foundation. And, so I think my path for entrepreneur started with those small things and then start growing. In architecture school, I started a couple of smaller enterprises, designing notebooks and stuff like that. So I've always had that entrepreneurial opportunities, I could say, because I had the motivation to go to it. Yeah. And then I got out of school, architecture school, and I knew right away that I wanted to do my own firm, to start my own firm back in Chile.
Yeah.
I studied in Chile. That's my original place of birth. And yeah. So I did that. I started with a schoolmate, and 3 years later, always having, the mindset that I want to go outside of Chile to work on. I grew up in Miami until I was like 7 or 8. And I always had my sights of going back to Miami or some part of the States. If it could be Europe, also was amazing. And 3 years into that firm, I got this opportunity to start a real estate firm, a real estate investment, not actually firm, a real estate investment with a family business, with, small savings that we had here, other small savings we got there. But the important thing is I had a soft landing in Miami, like someone that could actually walk me through that path, understanding this market. And of course, it wasn't that much money. So we started with small, entry-level, single-family, affordable homes.
So that was someone who wanted to invest in a project and wanted you to be part of it?
Yes. So he was in Miami. He was also Chilean, also an architect, friends of my dad from when we lived in Miami. And he was building and developing before, but, small scale too. So I came into the picture. He had other architects, of course, but I came in like a separate entity in parallel, but I was, do the whole work and he would eventually build and will teach me in the process. But the investment itself, came from our life savings, basically.
So he knew how to do it.
He knew how to, yeah.
Got it.
Well, it's a couple of conversations here and there and got to sort out the visa stuff and all that. But eventually I got it to the US in 2016. And during all that year, I learned feet and inches, which I had no clue about. I learned, of course, all the permitting process over here, how to build stuff. They're completely different than Chile. In Chile, we're more on the sustainable side with different materials and all. And down here in Miami, it's like old school. I'm still not sure why, but it's all cinder block and concrete masonry units. Yeah.
All of Florida is CMU.
Yeah. Everything.
Because it's easy to meet the hurricane code with CMU.
Yeah. I mean, but today there's different technologies, but you got the whole labor force focused on that.
Yeah.
But well, anyway, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah. We could have a second conversation about that.
Exactly. So yeah, we started in 2016 learning all of this. And in 2017, we started our first project, started building our first project, of course, with the thousands of hiccups and mistakes made.
What was the first project?
It was a single family, affordable home.
Single family.
I believe it was 1,500 square feet at the moment, 4-bedroom. No garages, nothing fancy. It's very simple. And we built it to sell.
And it was in the Miami region?
Yeah, in the city. And back then it was, something that could be sold at, we would invest, I think was like 40,000 and for the land and a little bit more for the construction. And we would sell it at like 200 maybe. Mm-hmm. Today, you don't find anything. I mean, it's all doubled. But again, another story. So yeah, we started with that, and that started the whole, cycles of investing on single family, getting the permits, building it, selling, and starting a new cycle. So it was a pretty slow loop, you could say. It seems at the moment it was much faster. Today, there's a lot more permits required and inspections, but I think the whole cycle was about a year. And of course, we did like other stuff in between for some clients and third parties and all, but that was like our main focus always. So I had mine, he had his with one or two more people, and we would survive with that. So the beginning was a very, very lean living, very frugal.
What were some of the mistakes you made in that first project?
It's most of them were not knowing things.
Yeah, just learning how to do it.
Yeah, so learning things that we missed, because every project's super particular. So that specific lot, we had to do this extra step. So that would take us a few more weeks to finish it. And understanding also the permitting process and the final inspections, of construction. Every city is different, at least here in Miami. And every inspector has their own process and all that. And of course, when you finish the product, because you design one way, you think it's going to be great, of course, and you never finish the design, but still. And when you start selling it, people start asking you questions of different things. So that's when you start learning a bit more.
To customize it.
Yeah, to customize it. Or they're looking for different things,
Yeah.
Like, hey, that 4th bedroom, does it have a bigger closet or is it the same as the other two, the other 2 secondary bedrooms? Small things like that. So you start catching up those ideas, basically, and start incorporating them to the next house. So we did a list of lessons learned, dog bites, or whatever we want to call it, for the marketing side, and of course, in the building side and the architectural side. And that grew for a couple of years. And during 2018 and 2019, I started working on my license to get registered down here in Florida. Yeah, it took me 2 years. We were doing this similar things. We had grown from a single family, 1,500 square foot, to something a bit bigger, or maybe 2 or 3 at a time. And while I was getting my license, I had to do a couple of courses, of course, fill out all the hours with the architect that we hired to sign the plans in the beginning, and, do those 6 exams that are amazing for some and not so amazing for others. I thankfully passed them all at the first try because, I don't know, I like books and codes and stuff. So bookworm. So at the end of 2019, I started working we already had all these projects in. It was just a matter of making the formation of the company because I had, our own developments. We had still some with the other architect, and for the new ones, I started to make it myself. So it was end of 2019, it was like a transition period. And January 2020, I founded a MIK Architecture to help us mainly. And then it grew. Although COVID did not help.
Yeah, exactly. Rough timing to launch a new firm, although it gives you a little bit of cushion to get it all figured out and get it on board. Although everybody thought everything was going to slow down during COVID and actually things sped up. Did that happen with you as well? Did you get busier during COVID? Busier than you expected?
I thought it was going to get slower, longer. It was slow. But again, I was also starting. And like you said, it was amazing to start building some processes or templates or stuff that could help me. I had read, E-Myth book like 2 times and a couple of other process books. So
for anybody listening, the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber is what Matias is talking about.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. I think that was like the first step of understanding how to run a business, because when I was back in Chile and I started this first firm right out of school, of course, I did not know anything. And, looking back, it was like, I was just a kid and I had done a couple of hours in another firm, but I didn't really absorb anything from them. And I thought it was big enough to start something. It failed in the end, of course. I came here, I tried to make it work remotely, did not work. But so E-Myth was a stepping stone. And one key thing that I recommend anyone, even in my team members, is to read or listen to them in the car. And it helps a lot. But anyways, during COVID, it was very slow until July. And then everything came flushing in like a flood. And it was crazy.
So were you doing client work as well as development work?
Yes, I did start some client work. Most of them came through like 1 or 2 interior designers I knew or worked with before, or some engineers that I had contact in during the previous years. And they heard the news that I was an architect now. So they started referring me smaller stuff, of course.
Yeah.
Remodelings and extensions here and there. So the only like really new constructions I did was the ones that we developed, that we figured out.
Yeah.
And that started evolving. And with that person that was a builder, at the same time I got my license, he got his general contractor license. So we kind of like naturally made a group there. And we brought someone that could help us find opportunities. And like his sole focus was looking for lots and opportunities and talking to investors and inviting them. So now what we do today, I don't know if you want to get into that because...
Yeah, that's my next question. What are you doing today?
Great. Now what we do today is we look for those opportunities like a group. So architecture, builder, and let's say realtor. As a group, we form this developer group and we look for that opportunity, for that lot, for that single family that is a turn down, and we grab that. We get a hold of that offer, a close offer on the contract, and we make a nice presentation. We do our pro forma. It gets back to me so I can investigate a bit more of what we can do, what limitations we might have, what additional things we might need to do, because I've learned the whole thing in the way, having that list helps. And then, we got the bottom line. And we can say, okay, this is worth it. Let's go and invite a couple of investors. Those investors are not new. We've already talked to them. We've already warmed them up. And, there's always someone that says yes. And a few times that they say no, well, we're still on the contract, but in the inspection period, so we can drop it without losing anyone. And once they say yes, we ask them for that escrow money and do the full feasibility study, like in depth. Well, we do that before the hard contract. And we do the whole, title inspections. And sometimes we even start planning right away, like preliminary schematic.
With the investment, you bring in investors. Are you investing your own funds as well as a development group?
So as a developer group, we have currently a bigger project today that we've invested all our funds. And it's in the ending phases. We're in the sale period. We're selling it.
Yeah.
So finishing up the building. So on the other investments, sometimes what we do is we defer some fees, not all of them, so we can, have our take on it. But most of the time, what we request, and the good thing about the developer group is that the developer group is the sponsor for any financial loans from banks or lenders. So what we say is, okay, you don't have to bring all equity for the project. We will get the loan for you, but we want our take on the final profit. So we don't actually invest our money, but we do take some profit on it.
Can you share approximately a percentage, how much you're...
Yeah, we're asking today a 30% on profit. And depending if someone else brings that person in or not, we share some of those.
Yeah.
But that's like a goal always. Split the profit 30-70. So we pay the whole project, the interest to the bank, the money back to the loan, whatever money the investors put into it, we pay it exactly back. And then we split the profit, whatever's left.
Is there ever a time where there isn't anything left? Have you ever gotten to that point?
So back in 2016 and 2017, yes, there were some...
Those projects where you were learning.
Yeah. But never that we went back. Like we got less than what we put, but a lot less than what we expected,
Yeah.
COVID was helpful because everything went up and it's still up there, but it's stabilized now. And thankfully, no, not for now. But picky with the projects because of the system we have, The one thing I missed is that I look at what feasibility is of the project, like what are the requirements and all, but the builder says, okay, I can build that for this amount. So we input all that numbers into our pro forma and we get a very good picture if it's a bit risky or not. That's why we don't do 5 projects a month, because there's a lot of filtering. And today our aim is to get at least 1 a month. And even that is hard in this market.
So you do 1 a month if you can, and you're completing that project before you start another one, or do you have overlapping projects?
We overlap projects, yes.
Let's take a quick break to say thank you to our sponsors for their support of this episode. Architects, listen up. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in this world and is going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. I know this community of small firm architects very well, and I see many of you struggling. That's why I reached out to this episode's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote. And by filling out just a few questions, BetterHelp can match you with a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in the show notes. It's betterhelp.com/architect. Just use that link, betterhelp.com/architect. Clicking that link helps support this podcast, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. So you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. If you need someone to talk to, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the show notes or visit betterhelp.com/architect. That's betterhelp.com/architect. Thank you to BetterHelp for supporting this podcast and for supporting our community of small firm architects. ARCAT's Spec Wizard is the tool that will help you save time writing specifications. Going through the manufacturer's specification line by line to find the right product leads to frustration and errors, and that's where Spec Wizard comes in. It's a free, patented tool that allows you to select products and options error-free and generate a 3-part specification in minutes. Go to arcat.com, that's ARCAT.com, and try Spec Wizard today. So how many projects at a time are you running?
Sometimes 20, sometimes 30, but that's between the new projects or bigger projects and smaller projects too.
The developer group is a separate entity, so it's a separate company?
Yes. So one thing I advise, well, at least in the US, is have LLCs for everything.
So every project is a new LLC?
Every project is a new LLC, part owned by the investors, part owned by the developer group, depending on the profit split, because the banks need us to be owners also to loan, And the developer group itself also has like 2 separate entities, one for the projects and one for operations. Then the builder has another one and the architecture firm is another one.
And every project is sold, or do you have any projects that you hold and rent?
All of our projects we look to sell. We have designed as architecture firm some projects to hold, but it's not part of the developer group. Like our focus, actually our goal as a developer is to not need the investors eventually, of course, and try to look for that waterfront property, that the one that sells at $25 million. That would be amazing someday.
Yeah. Do you only work in Miami?
South Florida, I would say. So we have Miami, which is, you could consider Miami a big chunk of land. But on the west side of Florida, Sarasota, we have a few projects and we're studying a couple more there. And Naples is another place we're studying right now because it's getting pretty big.
Right.
All that west coast now.
So that region between Sarasota and Naples, Fort Myers, Cape Coral.
Marco Island too,
Yeah.
Sarasota and south. Could even be Tampa and south.
Right. Okay. Interesting. So all of South Florida, east and west coast.
East and west. But today, most of our projects are in Miami.
What does your team look like? You said you have a team for MIK. What does that look like? How many people and what do they do?
Today, we are 7, 3 project managers that, have anything between 5 and 6 projects. The important thing is that they have in different stages, because not to get crazy.
Yeah.
And then we have a couple of assistant project managers, an administrative person that helps me out with all the billing, bookkeeping, marketing, and myself, that I feel like I'm not an architect anymore.
Yeah, you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. Entrepreneur, businessman.
Yes.
So yeah, my time and my billable hours went down from 50% to like 10% right now. It's crazy, but I'm very okay with it because that means I'm doing something to get more projects, more investors in.
Do you like that role or do you miss the design side?
I do rely still a little bit. I'm still pushing my team to get their license so I can completely give that away. And yes, I do miss it a little bit, but I have to say I've learned and I've grown to learn this other phase of having this conversation with you and having a conversation with investors and, looking at those deals, see if it's going to be good money, bad money, if it's going to be a nice project. Sometimes it's amazing money, but the project is conflictive or it's a socially problemsome, you could say. And you know what? Let's not get into that mess. It's good money, but the headache is not worth it.
Yeah. So you have a very specific project description that you're looking for, both financially as well as design side.
Yeah. Financially, it's pretty clear. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's anything that is in a tier of 20% from the investor. Sorry, not tiers in Spanish. IRR, the internal rate of return. So that takes account how much money they're putting in, how much they're taking out, and X time. Anything that is above 20%, we will look at it in depth. And then on the feasibility side, I wouldn't say we have something very specific and clear, like documented. It's a mix between gut feeling and what we find in that. And if we see, and there's always something new, right? When we get something new, we start going down that rabbit hole. Okay, who can help us with this? Let's talk to them. Is it complicated? How long does it take? Start asking and asking and asking questions until we get, okay, now we understand what we're talking about. Do we want to pursue it or not? And that decision is having all the information, either good or bad, helps you to make that decision to move forward with the project or not, because you know what you're getting into.
Much of South Florida is Spanish speaking. You're clearly bilingual.
Yes.
Does that help? Does that give you an advantage over other teams that are not bilingual?
I still have to meet a team that isn't bilingual.
Oh, yeah? Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a requirement to work in Miami, essentially.
In our office, at least, because of us 7, 2 of them are remote. And all of us understand both languages, but not all of them speak both languages.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So in our team, I like to have people that either understand, that understand both languages at least, because the language barrier could be complicated.
Yeah. You could lose a job or you could gain a job because you speak fluent.
I definitely can gain a job. And we're talking investors that come from Latin America. Some of them don't speak nothing of English. But at the same time, I think to myself, yeah, that's because we've been focusing on Latin American investors and developers.
Yeah.
If we wouldn't have that language, maybe we'd start focusing on American or European investors. It's a question that I ask myself sometimes, but it could be either way. At the moment,
Yeah.
we're very happy with our Latin American investors. And that doesn't mean we don't have other European investors also.
Yeah. Are all your projects now development projects? There's no client work, right?
Right now, I am officially free of client work, but that doesn't mean we don't take.
Got it. But you can be much more selective in what you take.
Yes, very selective.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. One of the benefits of being a developer.
So we actually limit ourselves to have no more than one homeowner project per quarter. So 3 a year, maybe a fourth here and there a year, but it has to be very fun and the person has to be likable.
Right. Needs to be a project you want to do, both design-wise and client.
Exactly. Now, and I actually, now that I think of, we had a lot of them on hold because of different reasons. And now that I think of, we're resuming one. So I have one private client.
That's interesting, right? Because now as an architect, you're designing the work that you want to design because you're the developer of that project. So you design it the way you want to design it. And from the other side, because you've built this other source of revenue, now you can be highly selective on your client side to only work with clients that you want to work with projects that you want to work with. And so those projects become fun projects, hopefully, that are profitable, right? That you can demand a higher fee because you can be much more selective.
Yeah. And most of the time, it's not only the fee that we're looking for, it's having fun, but also that it helps our end goal, and it helps our portfolio and it helps learning a bit more here and there of something new. Most of the projects that we've taken is because it's in a different city that we haven't worked at before. And it's a nice style and the homeowner seems a good person.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's not always taking a higher fee, but yes, we absolutely could if they really wanted to work with us. And that being said, I don't think many of them want to work with us because we market so much to developers and investors. And some of them feel like it. And actually, most of the ones that have taken us are also entrepreneurs themselves. And I feel that we have like the same mindset in that sense. But yeah.
Yeah. When you look at your website, a couple of things are very clear is that you're marketing only to development projects. You're not showing, although it may be there, but it's clearly not your primary focus of client work. And so those clients are coming to you because they've either experienced something you've done or they just love your architecture, which is the other thing that I've noticed very quickly is that the architecture is beautiful. It is beautiful, modern, high-end, custom residential architecture. That's another advantage of being a developer, right? Because you choose what style that's going to be. So that's clearly the style that you love. But I'm also assuming that that style sells for a premium. Is that also part of the equation, that style is not only something that you choose because you love it, but because the market's demanding it?
The market in Miami for sure demands it. And we have a lot of immigration from Latin America, California, and New York. And most of them, I would say 80% of them are requesting that style. So in that sense, yes, not only it sells with a premium, but believe it or not, it's the appraisers that, appraise the project for the loans, appraise it even higher. So you get a better loan. For us, it's a win-win. And because we love that style, I mean, what can be better? It fits us. It is a bit more costly to build though.
Yeah, much more detail, right? Much more focus on the details and materials.
Yeah, materials, I would say it's more concrete and more heavier, you would say. And, floor to ceiling windows, it's not cheap either.
Right.
Especially in a hurricane zone. They have to all be impact rated. But in general, it's a bit more expensive to build, but you still get a return on it.
What would be your best advice for an architect who wants to pursue what you're doing?
As a developer, I would say the collaboration, try to find that group of people that are going to push all of you guys up. You want to find someone that is going to be able to work with you side by side with the builder. I mean, if you get the same thing I did, like the builder, the realtor, and yourself as a team, that you guys push you guys together upwards and you're not pulling you down.
Yeah.
I think that's the key starting point. And you don't have to have anything formed right away. You can start with something small, just a project LLC, and doing going into operating agreements here and there. Something super simple. You don't have to complicate stuff. Just having that group of collaboration and being open to collaboration is, I think, key. you can't have an ego as an architect in these projects. It doesn't exist. Yeah. We love to design what we do, but we still design it because the market is wanting it. And our program is there, and we're not doing anything crazy, because anything crazy means that there's a less market to sell to. So it's one for the other.
Do you ever get pushback from your partners and investors on anything you do from a design point of view that you really want to happen? And they're like, no, that's either not going to sell or cost too much. Who makes that decision when that conflict happens?
That's a great question. On the starting phases in the schematic design, we have a group conversation. Before that, we have the conversation of what the program should be and of the house itself for that location, for that selling price point. But doing the schematic, that we already have that programming, we put everything in. Sometimes, there's always some like cool stuff we can bring here and there. And as a group, that's the magic of collaboration. So we start talking, hey, that could cost a little bit more, but for sure we could sell it here. We could at least get it better at the same price, but we sell it faster, And sometimes it's like, hey, yeah, that's a great idea. I love it, but I don't think we're going to sell it faster because this, and that. And that's where the realtor comes in looking for the comparables.
Yeah.
And maybe we get the same price point, but it's not actually a win-win. It's more of a headache, That means so it's not like one person makes the decision.
So you're compromising.
We're compromising all the time.
Adding their expertise, and then as a group saying, hey, we all have to give a little, we all have to take a little, and you compromise.
And we every single day. And during construction, even we have to compromise some stuff. Things happen in construction. Not to say the S word, but construction changes stuff. So we have to compromise there. And also when we bring in investors and invite them, we make them be involved in this collaboration because they feel better, of course. They feel integrated. And that's actually one of our core values. And to do that, all these questions we have that we typically solve ourselves. Okay, let's give them 2 options or 3 options. No more than 3. And we'll recommend this one as a group. But at the end, it's their choice. And that's another way of saying, yeah, that's the person that makes us the decision.
Yeah, that's very interesting. A very valuable feedback from you today. I think a lot of architects are learning a lot, understanding what you're doing. It's not an easy thing to do, right? Because I think that's often what architects are worried about, that it's complicated and they don't know, right? But you started off by saying you didn't know either. And you just started and you made mistakes and you just learned along the way. And yeah, you made less money than you could have. But today you learned how to do it. You built systems, you have relationships, you have partners. Those partners are all on the same page, right? And so that's an advantage when you put together a group like that no longer are you sort of in conflict with the contractor who might be building your project, but you're all on the same team, right? All moving in the same direction with all the same goals. And so those compromises and those conversations become a much easier process when you are a group rather than hiring a contractor who's trying to make as much money as they can. They don't make any money until the project's done. And then you split the money per the percentage you've agreed to. So it's an interesting model.
And just to be clear, we still pay the architectural fee and the general contractor fee and the realtor fee. So it's separate. The project still pays them.
Right. But that's part of your pro forma, right? So that's pre-decided. You know how much you're each going to make.
Exactly. So that's also cool because I get to schedule in when I'm going to get paid, like for my cash flow.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So that's part of the expense equation that you were talking about.
Correct.
So the architectural fees are being paid to you as the architect. The contractor is getting paid for his contractor fee. The realtor is getting paid for his realty service. And then all the other expenses. And then whatever's left, you split as per the agreement.
That's right. Yeah.
Interesting. I want to ask one more question, then we'll ask my final question that I ask everyone. What's your future plans? What are you looking to achieve in the next 5 years? More of the same, or do you have big dreams?
So we want to be more of a client-free firm, client-free group, basically. So that means after the cycles are completed and we earn our fees too, we can start developing our own projects at a rate of 1 project a month. I don't think that's going to be in 10 years. 5 years is going to be maybe in 8 to 10.
Yeah.
But if we get half of it in 5 years and it gets higher and higher per year, but that's how we see it. And what we want to do, of course, is get into that waterfront properties where the very big developers are getting into and, spending investing lots of money. And we would love to get into one of those. And because, it's a bit riskier, but I mean, the payout is great. And the project itself is amazing. So that's our big dreams.
Well, it'll be interesting to follow you. The website is MIK Architecture if you want to follow along and see the work that Matias is doing, mikarchitecture.com. The final question, what's one thing that a small firm architect can do today to build a better business for tomorrow?
I would say we don't get out of school knowing the business. So either get that coaching right on it, or you're just going to waste time on it. Get a business coach to help you along the way, to help you structure the firm, to help you learn things that you didn't know that you had to know. I would say that it's an investment that is going to pay off for sure.
I love that. His name is Matias Daroch. It's MIK Architecture. The website is mikarchitecture.com. Matias, thank you for sharing your knowledge today. This has been a very informative, inspiring conversation. So thank you for coming by and sharing your knowledge at Entre Architect Podcast.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation.
If you liked this episode of Entre Architect Podcast, please share a link to this episode with a friend. Either just click the share button or highlight the URL and send the link to this episode with a friend, because that's how Entre Architect has grown to serve thousands more architects just like you throughout the 10 plus years of Entre Architect. That's how we've grown, architect to architect. So I would love for you to share this episode and all the episodes with one friend every week. We'd love that. And thank you to our sponsors for this episode. We don't have an episode if there's no sponsors. So thank you to our sponsors. Links to those sponsors, which you should go visit and click, and all the resources that we discussed today for this specific episode, they are all available at entrearchitect.com/podcast. Every episode that we've recorded is there, entrearchitect.com/podcast. Go click the links to the sponsors and say hello. Entre Architect is a member of the Gable Media Podcast Network. You should go visit that at gablemedia.com. That is the next evolution of interactive media and resources for the AEC community. You can now earn continuing education credits for listening to select episodes of this podcast, Entre Architect Podcast. Yes, AIA CEUs for listening to a podcast. It's there, and many other podcasts are there as well, and you can listen to all of them and get credit. Learn more about our program, Gable Members Program, at the gablemedia.com/members website. That's GABL media.com/members. And if you are a small firm architect, join us today at Entre Architect Network. That is the worldwide organization for small firm entrepreneur architects. If you own your own architecture firm, you are an entrepreneur architect. You are an Entre Architect. With weekly live group business coaching, we have business coaching there, monthly live business training with AIA CEUs, 2 a month, so 24 AIA credits per year, including 12 of those are HSWs. We have them in the membership. Business resources, all the resources you need to run your business, special session webinars, mastermind groups, and a thriving community of small firm architects just like you. Hundreds of architects are there waiting for you to join. So we provide the support and encouragement you need to succeed as a small firm architect. I know that you haven't been trained as a business person when you launched your firm. That's what we do. Come learn how to run a business at Entre Architect Network. And today you can go join right now for free for 30 days at this link, entrearchitect.com/30 days will give you free 30 days for membership. Go check it out at entrearchitect.com/30 days, and I will see you there. Thank you for listening to this episode of Entre Architect Podcast. My name is Mark R. LePage, and I want you to remember 3 words: love, learn, share. Have a great day.
Imagine earning continuing education credits while doing exactly what you're doing right now. Well, you can. Gable Media has revolutionized the way you earn your continuing education credits with a groundbreaking approach. Forget running around town and scouring the internet for credit-worthy courses. Fulfill your CE requirements effortlessly by listening to engaging podcasts just like the one you're listening to now. Our podcasts are designed to educate, entertain, and inspire, all in a user-friendly environment. But wait, there's more. Architects, Gable Media is also approved as an AIA continuing education services provider. Upon completion, we handle everything, from reporting your hours directly to the AIA to storing your certificates in your personal Gable Media profile for your self-reporting needs. So follow the link in the show notes and start earning your credits in the most innovative and entertaining way possible with Gable Media.
Attention architects and creative minds, get ready to supercharge your brand with Build Your Brand, the podcast that's unlocking the secrets of branding success for creatives. Hey there, it's Mark Arlepage, founder of Entre Architect, and I'm inviting you to join my friend, architect marketing expert Jeff Eccles at Build Your Brand podcast, where he explores the captivating stories of the world's top brands and transforms their lessons into powerful moves for small firm architects and creatives like you. In Season 1, Jeff shares the thrilling tale of Southwest Airlines, where he dissects their journey to the summit and distills it into strategies tailor-made for you.
It's important to keep in mind that companies like Southwest compete in the real world, just like you, and face real-world challenges, just like you. You might be surprised at how similar those challenges are to the struggles that you grapple with on a day-to-day basis.
Don't miss out on your blueprint for success. Subscribe, tune in, and let's build your brand together.
You may have noticed that the very best brands in the world are also known for having somewhat unique corporate cultures. That's often the glue that holds everything together when they encounter those rough spots.
We don't do it because it inconveniences the passengers to whom we are primarily dedicated, the short haul, frequent flyer.
Follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Your Brand today. Remember, no matter the size, the journey's the same. Your brand's journey to the top starts here.